A young man named Lu Mingfei receives a message from a woman instructing him to head to the airport and locate the CC line. Mingfei is handed a subway card and informed that there's a subway station at the airport he needs to reach. His destination is Castle College. Upon arriving at the airport, Mingfei approaches a security guard to inquire about the CC line's whereabouts, but the guard dismisses him, assuming he's a beggar. It becomes evident that others are treating him similarly, and Mingfei realizes that American beggars dress similarly to him, highlighting his foreign origins from China. Frustrated and on the brink of giving up, a young man named Finger von Franks approaches Mingfei, revealing that he's also heading to Castle College and knows the way. Finger guides Mingfei to the subway and shares that the typical degree at the college takes 4 to 5 years. However, Finger has been repeating years and is now in his 8th year as an F-rank student. He explains that the train is the only accessible route to the college. While waiting for the train, Mingfei enters a trance state and encounters an unknown young man who addresses him as his brother. Before Mingfei can learn more, Finger wakes him, informing him that the train is arriving soon. They must verify their identity with a security guard by swiping their identity cards. Approaching the guard, Mingfei introduces himself, causing the guard to react ecstatically upon realizing that Mingfei is the new S-rank student admitted to the school. Finger and the guard berate Mingfei for not taking a plane, which would have been faster. Mingfei swipes his card and the subway system activates, announcing the inbound train. The train arrives quickly and Mingfei is welcomed aboard by Professor Gunderin. During the train journey, the professor gives Mingfei a confidential form to sign before briefing him on the school's focus on studying dragons and how to slay them. Mingfei initially views dragons as myths, but he experiences a soul vision where the boy from earlier confirms the truth. The boy recounts the history of the dragon Raja, the Black Emperor Nidhogg, who was killed thousands of years ago. This event marked the start of the New Age. The boy clarifies that he is not related to the dragon. Returning to his normal state, a man named Musashi Toyama presents Mingfei with evidence of a dragon's existence, showing him a dragon scale. However, Mingfei remains unconvinced. They then reveal a baby dragon that has been in a dormant state since its discovery in 1796. When Mingfei approaches, the dragon briefly stirs but fails to break free from its glass container. The professor attributes this to Mingfei's bloodline awakening the dragon, emphasizing their luck in changing the container last year to prevent a potential disaster. Moments later, they reach Castle College, and the professor warmly welcomes Mingfei. As they walk through the hallway, the professor shares that their research indicates high-level dragons are dormant across China. Mingfei notices the absence of students and questions the professor, who suddenly remembers it's Liberty Day when students participate in war games. The Lionheart Society and Union students, led by Cho Hong and Kaiser Gattuso, respectively, engage in a fierce battle. In the chaos, Professor Gunderin gets shot and falls to the ground. Shortly afterward, the two clubs were left with only their leaders and one sniper from each side. Caesar and Zaihong decided to engage in a one-on-one duel. As the duel commenced, Mingfei could only watch from the sidelines, thinking it was all too real. Just when Mingfei was about to be shot, a red-haired girl appeared and saved him, believing Nono was dead. This enraged Mingfei, prompting him to pick up a gun and rifle. He swiftly eliminated the other snipers, Zaihong and Caesar. Mingfei was still immersed in his sorrow when he heard the sound of a trumpet signaling the medics to rush to the battlefield and attend to everyone. Meanwhile, another teacher, Professor Manstein, arrived and began complaining about the high cost of everything. Mingfei was still trying to make sense of the situation when Gunderin appeared beside him. Mingfei was initially startled, thinking he'd seen a ghost, but Gunderin assured him he was alive. Gunderin proceeded to explain everything to Mingfei, revealing that the bullets used during the battle only contained sedatives. All the students finally got up, and Professor Manstein decided to call Principal Anju to put an end to the war games. Despite his complaints about the cost of renovations, the principal allowed the students to continue their activities, assuring them that the school would cover any damages. Principal Anju also informed the students that he wouldn't be able to return that year and asked Manstein to give Mingfei the phone. Anju welcomed Mingfei to the school and playfully teased him about knocking out 2 S-ranked students, revealing that Mingfei was himself an S-ranked junior student. It was then revealed that Zaihong was of pure blood, while Kaiser was of hybrid blood. After ending the call, Anju and another professor named Mance discussed the need to train the students and prepare them for battle. They believed that Zaihong and Kaiser was strong, but now they were considering Mingfei as well. The conversation shifted to the upcoming Hills operation scheduled for the next day. Mance mentioned that Di Shang and Eki were ready to dive into the water, but they needed to be cautious not to awaken the dragon sleeping there. Back at the school, Mingfei discovered that Finger would be his roommate. Finger took Mingfei on a tour of the school, explaining the various gambling skills that helped students practice magic. During a magic mishap, a student inadvertently summoned a water monster, but a teacher quickly intervened to prevent it from going on a rampage. Ming Fei found himself standing in front of a tree with withered leaves on one side and nourished leaves on the other. Finger told him the legend that Nidhogg, the Black Dragon Emperor, was defeated under this tree, which now serves as the college symbol. Hudarian found them near the tree and asked Ming Fei to follow him back to his dormitory. In the dormitory, Gundarin gave Ming Fei his student identity card and informed him about the upcoming 3E test. Gundarin explained that if Ming Fei failed the test, his memories would be wiped before he was sent home. Gundarin mentioned that it was time to evaluate Ming Fei's bloodline and played a recording known as the Imperium Yanling. However, Ming Fei didn't react as expected, leading Gundarin to believe that Ming Fei's human genes were suppressing his dragon genes. Suddenly, Gundarin remembered something and rushed out of the room, leaving Ming Fei in the dark. Finger later reported on the school's news network that Ming Fei hadn't reacted to the Imperium. He offered to help Ming Fei cheat and pass the 3E test. Meanwhile, Zai Hong and Kaiser discovered that Ming Fei hadn't resonated with the Imperium either. Gundarin called Professor Manstein to meet him in the library, where they went through books to understand why Ming Fei didn't resonate. They theorized that Ming Fei might be a descendant of the White Emperor who lost to the Black Emperor in a battle, and all his descendants were buried with him. Manstein and Gundarin agreed not to disclose this information until after Ming Fei took the 3E test. If he failed, they would have no choice but to report their findings, but they vowed to treat Ming Fei humanely. That night, an unknown person instructed the school's AI, Norma, to ensure Ming Fei passed the 3E test. The next day, as Ming Fei arrived at the test hall, he fell into a trance where Ming guided him and provided a cheat code for solving maps. During the test, Ming Fei used the code to decipher the map, surprising everyone with his quick solution. The interpreter was sent to help Aki and Shang, who were trapped in the ruins. Aki managed to surface and deliver a vase to Mance, but Shang sacrificed himself to save her. The ship's rescuers were deployed to find Aki and Shang. Aki relayed pictures of the ruins, including a vase that might contain a baby dragon. However, when she touched the statue, the city's security system activated and they had to run for their lives, changing the layout of the city. Back at Castle's college, the students ranking above were summoned to the emergency room, where they were informed about the situation in the ruins. They had 20 minutes to solve the city's layout before Aki and Shang ran out of oxygen. Ming Fei used the code Ming had given him to decipher the map, surprising everyone once again. The interpretation was sent to Aki and Shang, revealing the only escape path was down through the city's base. Professor Mance was relieved, but Aki was worried there wasn't enough oxygen. As they attempted to return to the surface, they realized they hadn't calculated enough oxygen for the ascent. Mance ordered the ship to lower almost to the water's surface and deployed lifeboats. Ming Fei received a call from his friend, Old Tang, who encouraged him to stay positive. Meanwhile, Mance and the team on the ship finally found Aki, but she was soon pulled away by an unknown creature. They engaged in a desperate battle against the dragon, ultimately pinning it between dam walls and detonating explosives. Tragically, Mance was impaled by a dragon's tooth. Back at the college, the principal informed the students that the ship had landed safely, and they thanked Ming Fei for his exceptional performance. After leaving the emergency room, Zhang approaches Ming Fei and invites him to join the Lionheart Club, but Ming Fei hesitates and ultimately declines the offer. Zhang assures him that there are no hard feelings, and he believes that Kaiser will also approach Ming Fei to join the Union of Students later. Doves are released from the church, which Zhang interprets as a sign of loss on the ship. Meanwhile, Mance reports all his findings to the principal before his passing. He asks the principal to inform the students that he's embarking on another mission to prevent their morale from declining. Anju informs his comrades that the vase they found has been sent to the college for further investigation. Mance takes his last breath and entrusts Anju with the task of finding Nono a new mentor. Next, Ming Fei receives an email from Caesar inviting him to a ball that night. Ming Fei is initially reluctant to attend because he lacks formal attire, but Finger suggests that he can rent one from the drama club. That night, Ming Fei and Finger arrive at the ball venue. Nono also attends the event and is personally welcomed by Caesar, as it is revealed to be Nono's birthday. The event begins with a dance, but Ming Fei and Finger find themselves without dance partners. Ming Fei and Finger end up dancing with each other, with Finger enjoying the moment while Ming Fei feels uncomfortable. After the dance, Kaiser delivers a compelling speech and takes the opportunity to invite Ming Fei to join the club. Ming Fei is left confused, and Kaiser allows him time to think about the offer. Following Kaiser's speech, a blonde-haired girl from the 3E test stands up to dance with Ming Fei. Ming Fei admits that he doesn't know how to dance, so the girl, who goes by the name Zero, leads him in the dance. After a beautiful dance, Zero leaves the hall and Ming Fei follows suit. Ming Fei encounters Nono outside and offers her birthday wishes. Nono expresses her tiredness and asks if Ming Fei can drive. Ming Fei agrees to drive her to the top of the mountain for relaxation. As they depart for the mountain, the school is suddenly invaded by a group of armed men, leading to the students being instructed to arm themselves and defend the school. During the drive to the mountain, Ming Fei enters a trance and he has a vision of Ming guiding him. They discuss Ming-Fei's feelings for Nono, and Ming provides him with a new cheat code called Show Me the Flowers. Eventually, they arrive at the mountaintop. Back at the school, it's revealed that the invaders may be after the vase recently brought to the school. One of the intruders communicates with a woman who appears to be their commander. Shortly afterward, some of the intruders were captured and restrained. Manstein decides to lift the barrier that controls their powers, allowing them to search for intruders more effectively. He contacts his father, the Night Watchman, who agrees to lift the barrier, granting the students full control of their powers. On the hills, Nono confides in Ming-Fei about Mance's death, but mentions that they chose not to inform the students. She explains that Mance had given her a secret code in case of his demise, and it would be announced that he was embarking on a new mission. When Ming-Fei asks if Nono is sad, she replies that she is not. As the barrier is lifted, the captain of the intruders uses her power to conceal herself and her allies. Simultaneously, Manstein deploys his Void Snakes to search for the intruders. Gunderin notes that it's up to the students to stop the intruders, as their main forces are not within the school. Meanwhile, one of the intruders, identified as 13, embarks on a solo mission with a different objective. He's informed that his next destination is the wine cellar. 13 reaches the wine cellar, uses a security card to open an inner door, and begins his mission. Back at the church, Kaiser activates his Yanling ability, allowing him to see and hear everything around him. Kaiser contacts Zhang to inquire about his situation, but Zhang reassures Kaiser that his own troubles have not arrived yet. Kaiser hints at facing his share of troubles soon. The instructors order the Lionheart Society to evacuate the library, with Zhang instructed to remain there. Shortly after, the intruders enter the church but quickly realize they have been detected. The captain of the intruders introduces herself as Sakito Kume, revealing herself as Aki's sister. Kaiser offers his condolences, but Sakito Kume downplays their closeness. Mai plays a song and announces that their fight will begin once the music ends. In the library, a masked girl enters, prepared to face Zhang without a weapon. The instructors were watching, wondering if she was powerful enough to challenge Zhang without one. Zhang activates his Yanling ability, causing the area around him to erupt into flames. To their surprise, the masked girl possesses a power similar to Zhang's. 13 finds himself in an ice chamber where he encounters one of Norma's personalities, Ava. Ava informs him that she can't stop him because he used a high clearance card. They have a conversation, and Ava even points him to his next destination. However, 13's mission becomes more dangerous as his payment increases to $5 million. While trying to escape, 13 falls into a reservoir and loses his phone before receiving the last set of instructions. He swims forward and encounters a door. As he contemplates opening it, a voice calls him brother, and he accidentally opens the door. Meanwhile, back on the mountain, Nono reveals to Ming-Fei that she was the one who invited him to the party, not Kaiser. She asks Ming-Fei to join the student union to protect him from any suspicions that Kaiser may have set her up for the task. Nono discloses that she and Kaiser have an arranged marriage engagement. Nono changes the topic, mentioning that she receives a birthday present every year, but this year she doesn't know what it will be. Ming-Fei uses the cheat code given to him by Ming to lift Nono's spirits, and they celebrate her birthday with fireworks and music. In the school, after 13 opens the door, he is swept into another chamber where he encounters a shark. Surprisingly, the shark doesn't attack him. 13 reviews that there's something about him that repels animals. He proceeds to the research institute hidden under the college. Inside the facility, scientists brief him about the vase and conduct a scan, discovering a dragon embryo inside. They realize that there were supposed to be 2 embryos, but one escaped. Anju intervenes to protect them from dissecting the vase. 13 takes the opportunity to infiltrate the room, but he doesn't follow his final instructions to extract the vase's contents due to the loss of his phone. An unknown figure later enters the room and pours the solution from 13's fallen bottle onto the vase. He cuts his hand and adds his blood to it, mentioning that his blood and the dragon are now in the hands of Nidhogg. Back at the church, Kaiser engages in a duel with Mai. Mai attempts to cheat by pulling out a gun, but a mysterious kid mouths some words, causing an explosion that separates Kaiser and Mai. They discover melted footsteps leading outside, and Kaiser is surprised that someone could evade him. They realize that an elevator came from the basement. Meanwhile, Nono and Ming-Fei are returning to school, and Nono senses trouble. She believes that it will be resolved before they arrive. In the school, Zhang and the girl continue their fight, with the professors realizing that she is holding back to slow down Zhang rather than harm him. 13 attempts to escape on a bike when he encounters Ming-Fei and Nono with their car. They recognize each other, and 13's escape plan turns into a fake hostage situation. However, they are interrupted when a kid with an energy shield arrives and melts bullets shot at him. The guards and students switch to freak bullets, and Ming-Fei, Tang, and Finger jump into a pool to hide from Constantine. They fully submerge themselves and find themselves in a different place. Ming-Fei encounters Constantine, who transforms into his dragon form. Anju appears to assist Ming Fei, and he explains his plan to use Ming Fei's shot with the Philosopher's Stone bullet to weaken the dragon. The plan succeeds, and Constantine protects Tang from bullets before dying. Tang starts to remember his past life as a dragon, realizing that Constantine was his twin brother. He reveals himself as Dragon King Norton. Later, Anju and Manstein's father discuss Anju's plan to eliminate the Dragon Kings, including Norton, and put an end to the threat once and for all. The next day, Finger and Ming Fei discuss the recent events in their dormitory. Ming Fei decides to join the student union, and Nono has already prepared his club card. Principal Anju informs Kaiser and Ming Fei of an upcoming expedition, and Nono convinces Ming Fei to join her on the mission. Over the next 2 months, Ming Fei undergoes rigorous training in various aspects to prepare for the expedition. After training, he initially feels discouraged but is reassured by Finger. As preparations continue, Ming Fei learns that couples aren't allowed to dive together, but there seems to be a loophole for couples who haven't officially announced their relationship, like Aki and Shang. As the mission continues, Norton summons one of his servant dragons, Samson, to prepare for the tasks ahead. Meanwhile, Ming Fei, Nono, Zero, and Kaiser are taken to the ship for their mission, which is codenamed Operation Bronze. Manstein informs them that the ship is now better armed and equipped with an advanced torpedo designed to damage a dragon effectively. Their plan is to re-enter the Bronze City and destroy it before it falls into Norton's hands. The belief is that Norton will have to return to the city and transform into a cocoon to emerge with his full strength. Manstein informs them of the diving plans, with Nono and Ming Fei being Team 1, set to dive first to locate the cocoon and destroy it. Nono provides Ming Fei with all the details about the diving suit and explains the attached consciousness line, which can be used to retrieve them in case of any problems. They dive into the water, and upon reaching the gate, Ming Fei is supposed to pour dragon blood into a container on it to activate it. However, the gate bites his finger and eventually lets go after taking in a sufficient amount of dragon blood. They enter the city and find a corridor with no water, realizing that the air is breathable. They open their masks to conserve oxygen and follow a dive given to them by Manstein to determine the right path. The dive guides them through various chambers, including one depicting the evolution of dragons and humans. They reach a pillar that Aki and Shang had previously encountered and continue forward until they arrive at a chamber with a large statue honoring Norton. Nono deduces that the king's palace cannot be in the same place where sacrifices are received. They dive into the water below and discover that they are standing in a graveyard of ancient warriors who once waged war against the Dragon King when the city was not submerged in water. They find another gate and use Ming Fei's blood to access it, which results in the disconnection of their consciousness line with the ship. Kaiser and Manstein attempt to use their powers to locate their missing comrades. Nono and Ming Fei find themselves in an unexplored part of the city and enter a building to investigate. Nono decides to use her criminal psychology skills to gather information. She discovers that they are in Norton's palace, where Norton and his brother lived thousands of years ago. Nono reveals that she initially recruited Ming Fei to the school, thinking he would quit after a day or two, but she now regrets her decision. She cares deeply for him and wants to protect him. Nono sets a timer for their mission, indicating they have limited time to return to the surface. Suddenly, they notice that a lamp inside the building is on, indicating that Norton might be nearby. They realize that Norton is in the city with them and quickly decide to run away. They reach the gate that brought them into the city, but discover that someone has removed their consciousness line, leaving them disconnected from the ship. The city appears to be undergoing a reboot, causing everything to fall apart. Back on the ship, Kaiser contemplates diving in to look for Nono and Ming Fei, but Manstein advises against it, as their primary mission is to kill Norton. In the water, Nono and Ming Fei face challenges, but Ming Fei remembers the cheat code given to him by Ming for the map. They hear Finger's voice speaking to them, and he guides them using the map and a connection through Manstein's brain. Finger contacts Ava to grant him unrestricted access to analyze the map, helping Nono and Ming Fei navigate their way out of the city. Meanwhile, Kaiser and the crew on the ship prepare to fight Norton. Zero suggests using torpedoes to attack him, but they must get within 100 meters of Norton to ensure the torpedo's effectiveness. The plan involves Kaiser distracting Norton to draw his attention while the torpedo is launched. Kaiser covers his ears to protect them from the impending explosion. In the water, Nono and Ming Fei encounter difficulties, including oxygen leakage. The ship turns back to assist them, but Nono is impaled by Norton's tail just as they are about to reach the diving bell. Ming Fei watches helplessly as Nono dies in front of him, overwhelmed by memories of their time together. Ming Fei enters a vision land and encounters Ming, who offers a deal. Ming will give him cheat codes to defeat Norton and save Nono, but for each cheat code used, Ming will own a quarter of Ming Fei's life. Desperate to save Nono, Ming Fei agrees to the deal, and Ming grants him new powers. Returning to the diving bell, Ming Fei heals Nono and sends her to the surface. He then prepares to face Norton, using the cheat code to restrict Norton's magical abilities. A fierce battle ensues, but as Ming Fei hesitates upon recognizing Norton as Tang, Ming provides him with a dagger to finish the fight. Ming Fei emerges victorious but conflicted about his actions. Back on the ship, Nono wakes up and Ming Fei is rescued by Zero. Meanwhile, Maya finishes off Norton using the Philosopher's Stone Bullet, completing her mission. Later on, Ming Fei meets with Principal Andrew. Andrew promised him full marks for the semester but requests that Ming Fei write a thesis on the shared thrones of the Monarch twins. Andrew reveals to Ming Fei that Nidhogg created the 4 kings as pairs of twins, possibly to make them more powerful. He explains that dragons often take human form to gain empathy from humans. Andrew emphasizes that even though Norton may have lost his memories after escaping from the vase, he's still a dragon king who could have caused great havoc in the world if not stopped. Andrew presents Ming Fei with a picture of Tang when he was still a human, but Ming Fei asks him to hold on to it. Anju also hands Ming Fei a letter from his parents congratulating him on his part in the successful mission and expressing their excitement to attend his graduation. The letter brings tears to Ming Fei's eyes. During his conversation with Principal Andrew, Ming Fei is about to explain the events that occurred after Kaiser knocked Norton down, but Ming intervenes and suggests that Ming Fei doesn't need to share those details. Back at the dormitory, Ming Fei and Finger are arguing when Kaiser unexpectedly visits and requests some salt. It turns out that Kaiser and Zhang now live in the room opposite theirs. Nono and Zhang's assistant, Suzy, have also moved to a room close to Ming Fei and Fingers. Ming Fei learns that Nono doesn't remember the details of what happened during the mission. She recalls only hearing Ming Fei shout her name and doesn't realize that he was the one who saved her. Ming Fei returns to his room and receives a mysterious package containing a phone from an unknown sender. The phone has been sent by Ming to help Ming Fei contact him more easily and to monitor him to ensure he doesn't break their deal. Later on, Principal Andrew discovers that Ming Fei drew himself sitting at a window next to Ming in his 3E test answers. He recognizes Ming but chooses to burn the paper, and he welcomes Ming Fei back to the academy.